So this has been a while in the making, and I'm probably pumping this up way more than I probably like need to or should, but it doesn't really matter at this point because it's exciting. It's a very exciting time for me because what it could mean and for a lot of different reasons. But I got some people with me. It's not going to be a super long stream, but it's going to be long enough. We'll just say that long enough for me to kind of talk a little bit what we're up to. And to be honest, we're going to talk a little bit about the origin of this whole channel and how this kind of a little mini announcement is going to be kind of tying everything together, which is kind of interesting. So anyway, I am Paul Herman. I am joined today by one person that's I wish I could, had more time to come on. He's a busy boy. Dennis, welcome back.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, and I know you've been working hard at work, your regular day job, and also you're still working on the detective comic, right?
Yeah, that's right. Great Detective #2 is in the works. Taking me a little longer to letter than I thought it would, and that's just due to some busy season work like things going on. But it's slowing down, so I'm finally getting back to it. So I'm hoping to have it done before the end of the month.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited. We'll get into your comic here in a little bit. We'll get into that in a little bit. And also we have someone you probably haven't met yet, which is this is a really special thing for me. This is an old friend of mine, Antonio Méndez. Antonio, how do you say your middle name? I've known you for how long? And I see, I'm like, how do you pronounce your middle name?
Ascención.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. I'm just not smart enough for that. So Antonio and I have known each other since middle school. No crap. And we've kind of we stayed in contact off and on. And it's really crazy because I still am. So this is a true story. I'm still confused how you dropped off the face of the earth like after right at high school. So we were like best friends all through middle school, right? Yeah. And then all of a sudden, this guy just falls off the face of the earth. I don't even know what the hell happened to him. He's like, I'm like, hey, I think I tried calling you. This was before we all had cell phones, right? Yeah. So I'd be like, hey, where's Antonio? And like I'd be like, leave messages, we never heard back. And then we talk to our old friends, Metal Scott, and I'd be like, hey, what's up with Antonio? I have no idea. And he'd tell me like you went to Running Start College. I was like, what? What? Yeah. So anyway, Antonio and I had stayed, through thanks to social media, thanks to one of the good things of social media, right? We actually managed to stay in contact loosely here or there. And we'll get into why we're kind of reconnect a little bit in a more bigger way here in a second. Antonio is actually the one who designed the Comic Binge logo that you can see up there, right there next to him if you see his on his screen on the right there. So Antonio is a phenomenal artist. Since I've known him, Antonio's always drawn and just was ridiculous. Everyone was like fifth compared to him. Like there was Antonio and everybody else was like down to there. And so so it's Antonio who knows me pretty well as far as like he could confirm my comic book loving days, right, Antonio? Yeah, back in the day.
Even when the first time I came over to your house, I don't remember, that was in the 90s.
Early 90s. Yeah.
Early 90s. And then you had comic books everywhere in your room.
It's legit, people. I'm legit. I'm a G. I'm a G. So anyway, so we're wondering why is everyone here? And there's a lot of different reasons. So today, I have no plan for how I'm going to say this either. So this is going to be very, very strange for me. So today, I'm going to announce that Antonio, myself, and Dennis have started working on I'm not saying monthly, but a comic book series. It's a mini comic book, and it's called Space Demons. And it is, I'll have reasons behind it for everything here in a minute, but this is the work of our friend Antonio here. And I got to tell you, people, Antonio can tear the shit up. Like this is incredible. Like, I'm sorry. I'm biased, but this looks incredible. So Space Demons is going to be on Webtoons. I'm going to have it in the description and everything. Don't worry. But the first chapter is out there, and I've got a whole set of things about this. We'll talk about it, but this is the first chapter of hopefully more than 2, but we're going to have at least 2, probably 4 to 5. And if people want more, we'll do more. It's kind of up to, there's a lot of different reasons going on why we might do less or more. I don't know yet, but there's going to be at least 2 to 3, and really excited. This is a good indication of what you're kind of expecting at this. And it's basically space fantasy. I love me some space fantasy. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the notes here. Antonio, so this is I'm not even gonna say what this is, but this dragon thing is just incredible. Antonio just killed it, man. Like, seriously, this looks amazing. Antonio, what was your inspiration on this thing, really quick? I want you to tell people.
I was thinking, doing something different than the traditional dragon design that's been played up. I was thinking like he's kind of like a bird, kind of lizard. You know, he's got feathers, he got scales. Who knows what else? I don't know.
Yeah.
Different.
Exactly. So anyway, I'll pop this up here in a second again. But so anyway, so this is a web comic. It's gonna be on Webtoons, and it kind of came about in a lot of different ways. There's more to the story basically, but what has happened was last year, I wanted to start a project that's very close to me, and I contacted Antonio, and I started getting all these ideas, and I wanted to start writing comic books, and I started working on some stuff, and I told Antonio, and we're gonna do a Kickstarter later on. I'm hoping to launch this year, and it's not going to be Space Demons. This is just kind of a side thing, but I'll get to that in a second. But basically, I was just feeling, really inspired. Had this big idea. One thing led to another, and I basically just got to the point where I just started writing, and I got Antonio involved. We started working on stuff, and I realized, crap, I don't want my first comic books ever to be like the most important thing to me. Basically, I wanted to actually have do a little bit of something beforehand before I get the kinks out a little bit, just kind of get used to writing. And so Antonio and I want to do a Kickstarter, or we're going to do a Kickstarter with Dennis, who's going to participate as well. We'll get to all everyone's contributions here in a second. And I basically said, okay, let's work on a comic. Let's do a Kickstarter, because I plan on obviously paying people for this, except for myself, but everybody else, yes. And I asked him, like, would you be willing, Antonio, to work with this for free? And he said, absolutely. And so we're working on this together, and we created Space Demons, and it's been a load of fun. I've learned a lot about writing comic books just through the little bit I have. And it kind of started me thinking, well, how do I promote myself of writing comic books? How do I promote other, I started thinking about promoting other people. Like, that's why you have the Indie Kick Show on YouTube, or for the Comic Binge. I created the Comic Binge YouTube channel basically to help promote my comic book endeavors, but also not just mine, but other people's. Like, I have Dennis here. I reached out because I have this dream of mine to people like Dennis, who I had known, who had already done independent comic books. I would love to do an anthology comic one day. And I started talking to all these different people that I was asking if they were interested in doing stuff. And a lot of people were interested. It's a lot of work to do comic books. Let me tell you, people, anyone who's done a comic book can tell you, it's not something you can just kind of whip up like this. And I didn't think it would be like that, but it's a lot of work. I still have a lot of dreams and aspirations I want to do for an anthology comic book at one point, but that's kind of, way down the line. But anyway, I started talking to Dennis, and Dennis and I started, hitting off a little bit. And I said, we were reading this comic book, and I realized, man, like, you have a lot of dialogue in your book. And like, I realized he lettered it himself, or you told me that. And I thought I was really impressed, because if you read his comic, it's totally a lot of dialogue, which is not a bad thing, but you have to kind of, really do a good job of lettering that and getting it very precise. And Dennis knocked it out of the park. And I asked him, like, dude, would you be willing to, letter my comic book? He's like, absolutely. So Dennis, I tell people how, like, are you like not fluent with lettering, but like, are you like, how do you be so good at this already? It's crazy.
Well, it was just trial and error, I like you, starting from scratch, you have no idea what's involved in the process of making a comic book. I knew you write a script, you find an artist somewhere, and that was all I knew, or that was all I kind of guessed was a part of it. The whole lettering process, it was just trial and error. I did a lot of internet research, a lot of YouTube. Everyone said, Adobe products, So I looked those up. I got myself a subscription, played around with it. And lettering is, you don't realize how important it is to a comic book until you start doing it. You'll run into little problems, like maybe the artist didn't, it didn't put the character on the right side of the page the dialogue is supposed to be on, and the balloon's gonna cross over another character and things like that. Little problems like that you have to work your way around. It was honestly just trial and error. I think I lettered Great Detective #1, the whole issue, maybe 4 or 5 times before I actually released it.
Wow.
Yeah, because it was just the first trial was just, it was all over the place, and it was illegible.
But I think it's also, if you guys read his comic book, it's got a lot of dialogue, so you have to really place it. If you look at Space Demons, it's just got captions. That's all it is. So it's a little bit easier to navigate. But still, there's an art to been having the flow of where to go on the page and on the panel. It's a thing. But with Great Detective, it's a lot. Like, you have a lot going on, so you have to really position it in a certain way. And again, I was really impressed. I remember reading like, dang, that's impressive. Like, it's not easy. So
it's been a journey. It's been a journey. It would be interesting to go back to issue #1 and see if I see anything I want to correct now.
Right. Yeah,
I probably would.
No, we all would, right? I mean, look at George Lucas, right? I mean, you just can't stop tinkering. I mean, but not just George Lucas. Look at Allen Ginsberg, right? I mean, that guy wrote like Howl, or revised it like how many times? At least people tell me. I never read Howl. I'm not that cool or hip, but anyway, so I got to know Dennis, and I started getting the ideas for how to promote my eventual comic book stuff that I want to do was through the Comic Binge YouTube. And I really feel, and I've said it on the shows thousands of times, that in my opinion, I think YouTube's the future of comic books and promoting comics. Or not YouTube specifically, but video content is going to be the future of promoting comic books in the future and things like that. And I've said it 1,000 times. And I want to kind of get started on that road. And that's the whole journey kind of started back in March, when I started doing stuff for, again, I want to promote comic books. I just love the medium so much. And so in the last year, I wanted, obviously from the very beginning to shout from the rooftops, I'm creating material, I'm creating comic books, but I wanted to have like something tangible, right? So me and Tony have been working on stuff for for all year long. In the meantime, right where I thought we were going to be able to launch, Antonio's wife got pregnant, and then they had a kid. I mean, life gets in the way, and I was like, you know what? Cool. I'll just keep working on the Binge, keep building and go from there. So it was definitely a journey, but last year it all pretty much started, I'd say last year, but I'd say into 2020, end of 2020, into 2021, I started working on stuff, and they're not fully edited or revised scripts, but I've written 5 comic book scripts, meaning separate issues of 20 pages or more per issue. And I've got them, my wife is editing all of them. She's a master editor. Like I said, Space Demons will hopefully release that over time here, a number of episodes. But the big thing will be the project, which I'm not quite ready to announce it, but it's a big deal to me. And I'm going to say that right now, that the Kickstarter that we will launch next year at some point, I'm hoping early on, but we'll see. But either way, next year, it's people who know me already know what it is and have heard about it and have heard me talk about it. Like Dennis and Antonio obviously already know what it is, but it's a big deal. And I want it, basically, if there's one comic series that I want to get a printed copy of and have it out there, it's going to be this project that I'm working on. It's a big deal for me. And I'll when the time comes to launch it, I'll do something like this, but it'll be focused on that. But Space Demons is basically my kind of, I need to crawl before I can walk kind of a thing, and get that out there. And it's been a blast. I got to tell you, I love writing comic books, and writing comic books has been something that I've missed from I'm a musician. I loved writing music. I love being creative, and podcasting and doing video stuff. I mean, Dennis, I know you're a musician too, right? So I mean, like, we both kind of fall in that kind of, it's fun. It's cool to produce content like this, but nothing beats creating like art, and I'm not saying in YouTube and I think, podcasts are art to an extent, don't get me wrong, but I need something more to give me, fulfillment. And writing stories have always been something I love to do. And I'm just finally started to get off my lazy ass to do it. So, but yeah, like, and that's the whole thing. This reason this channel exists is to basically get people to promote comic books and promote the medium that I love. So, Tony, you haven't said much. Do you want to add anything here?
Well, like going off what you said earlier,
yeah,
about creating, and man, when you get the flow going, like I read your writing, your script, and I was like, whoa, I was blown away. So,
oh, thank you.
I'm excited to illustrate your scenes and just bring life, like the world, create it.
So
come into, I don't know.
Thank you. Oh, and thank you, Antonio. I appreciate it. And Andrew, so my introduction to manga was through this butthole up here, Antonio. Like, I never read manga before, and I'm curious, Dennis, if you read much, but so Antonio, you weren't really into comic books when we were hanging out and afterwards. And so we've both given each other a crash course into the other. Like, I got you to crash course into, American comics, but you got into manga and you started getting me turned on to it.
Yeah. So just the black and whites and just how they use just those two tones to make everything in between.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool the eye, use negative space instead of drawing a line. You just have like a white space in the shape of whatever, it's amazing just what you can do. It's just
What was Dennis, what's your take on manga? I'm curious. I mean, you've looked at Space Teams a bunch. Like, do you see like the huge manga influence from this guy?
Manga influence, I don't know admittedly too much about it. I do know whenever I flip through a manga book, I don't think I've ever seen a badly drawn manga book.
That's true.
I mean, they're all excellent, like expertly drawn. I love the use of black and white.
Yeah, me too.
I'm a noir guy, so I mean, I really appreciate that aesthetic. As far as manga books I've been curious about, probably Akira.
Yeah.
I remember some of my favorite comic artists pointing back to that as an inspiration, and I never read the original. I saw the movie, but never read the original comic or the original manga. So that's probably on the to-do list.
Well, it's cool because he got me into it. And if anyone's out there that you want to get turned on to manga, like it was my entry point, because remember I talked about when we first started doing the original ideas of this comic books in general, and also Dennis, you do coloring too, and I know you toyed with the idea of doing some coloring for Space Demons, which I would love to see at some point. So you're more than welcome to try it out, man. Just know that.
In limited capacity.
I've seen your stuff. Limited. You can do it. You're a creative person, but it's funny because I thought about, well, how am I going to color it? And I remember Antonio in our early days was like, we'll just do black and white. I was like, I don't know. I'm like, really? And I never really loved black and white comics. It wasn't until this guy was like, you need to read Biomega. And I was like, I don't know. And then I bought the first, I went and bought the first volume because Antonio, told me to do it. And I looked at a couple pages, just like, from the shading that he told me about. And I was like, okay, you sold me. And now I almost not prefer black and white, but I fucking love black and white comics now. Like, it really made me fall in love with, because color saturates everything, right? I mean, not everything, but coloring is an art form of itself, and that's a whole different topic. But black and white is just the true essence of what the artist does and the detail, and you lose so much detail in the color a lot of times. Not all the time, but a lot of times.
Have you guys ever compared, like, you'll see a color image from a comic book, and then you'll happen to glance the uncolored version, and you're like, man, they should have just kept it this way.
Dude, all the way. No, there's a lot of I have a lot of essential art from like Sal Buscema, from the Fender stuff, even Steve Ditko, just really beautiful stuff that, like, even though like my friend Alex Grand would even say I had the essential Steve Ditko stuff, he's like, oh dude, you need to get the colored stuff though, because it looks beautiful colored. He's not wrong. It looks amazing. It transcends, comic books at that point with the coloring, but just the raw pencils themselves, just a line art looks incredible, and line art, that's the thing I learned over the last couple of years and through Antonio, was black and white, and the line art really is the essence of comic books, in my opinion. And manga only just showcases how beautiful black and white is to me. And it sold me on it. So those obviously Space Demons will be primarily, you know, black and white. But if Dennis gets crazy and wants to do coloring, I'm not going to stop him. I'm going to say, Dennis, have at it, bro. It's all you. Yeah, no, seriously. And I'll post them. I'll say, hey guys, we got some, you know, cool stuff. I'm all about you trying it out on there. And the next main project will definitely be black and white. So, and again, the reason why I haven't talked about the main project is because it really is I have to have all my ducks in a row for that one. That one is truly it's a beast. It's going to be at least 5 issues long, if not 6 issues long, of 20 pages plus or more. I have to write all the details out. I got to figure out, you know, all logistics have not been figured out for that project yet, but I want to get my core writing ideas down first, as far as like getting a write of a script, being able to, you know, communicate to these guys through different things, you know, so it's a big deal. But basically the Comic Binge is created this is basically me and other people out here right now saying we do comic books, and that's what we're going to be doing. We're not just going to be talking about reading comics, but creating comic books. And whatever this leads to in the future, I have no idea as far as, you know, what it could be, but that's kind of the exciting thing of it too. I want to do more with it than just like talk about like Spider-Man comics, which again, I love comic books. I don't mind talking about them. I'll talk about them all day, but I want to create. I want to help people promote. That's why Indie Kicks exists. It sucks that only like, you know, 6 people watch those videos, because I love it, you know, but that's the thing. It's about just developing. If I can start a thing now to develop, you know, a place for artists and writers, and people can say, hey, I want to promote your stuff on your channel, and it leads to a couple people loving it, then that's all I want to do. This channel's main existence is basically to promote the comic book medium, but also independent artists, and that's what I want to do. So that's why, Dennis, I'm trying to get on here and promote A Great Detective. That's why I'm going to try to get on here and promote Antonio's brilliant work. I mean, my wife's buying a piece of Antonio's art for, you know, or wants to. So it's just like, it's crazy. You know, and she just loves the stuff. Antonio's stuff is incredible. Dude is unreal. And I'm so lucky to have found a great artist, both you guys, to help me basically realize a dream. And again, I'm acting like 6 pages of a mini comic is not like this big deal, and it's not in the grand scheme of things. But for me, and for what this is a dream of mine to do, to write comic books, I never thought I'd ever do this. Honestly, I thought I'd be too lazy. And the fact I'm doing it, and what the whole means to an end is, at least at one thing, the Kickstarter that I'll eventually do, that's all that matters to me. So, but again, all I'd end up doing is Space Demons and his Kickstarter, I'm good. I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to do more. I've got a plethora of ideas. I've told both these guys, Tony, I've told like 800 ideas to. Yeah, I'm full of ideas. And, you know, I do think that I do think the future's bright. I don't have no idea what the future holds, but I'm excited for it. And yeah, thank you guys. You guys want to end on again, I want to keep this very quick and just kind of super painless. But Dennis, before we go, do you have anything you want to end on?
Just kind of going back to what you said earlier, you know, Antonio, Paul, anybody out there listening, you know, I encourage you, create just for the hell of it, you know. Absolutely. Create because it's in your blood. It's what I think it's what we're all meant to do collectively as a species. So wherever it leads, I think just create. Amen, dude. Amen. Totally. Antonio, yeah, come on, man. It's just like, do what makes you happy. And yeah, you know, for me, it's like being creative is part of what makes me feel healthy and happy. And yeah, even if no one reads it, you know, that's fine. We all got together and did this project, and it was fun and doing all this. Yeah. Happens, it's worth it, you know. You know, and it's funny because Antonio echoed exactly like what I've always been thinking. And I don't think I've ever told you like that verbatim. That's something you just kind of naturally said, you know, as far as like, you know, before I just said it just now a few minutes ago, but just, you know, just the fact that you never said that to me before. And I could tell like, it's exactly what you do things for, because you always are drawing, you're always creating too. I know that about you. And it's so, it really is like, you've never told me that before, but you're exactly echoed exactly what my heart feels. It's like, I come from a very punk rock background. Like
I feel that you just got to do it because you love it and just don't care. I mean, yeah, it's all great and gravy if people love it. And it's all, I mean, everyone loves validation. I mean, everyone, you know, if you're validated by your peers, you feel great. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say that doesn't feel great, but in the end, you have to feel satisfied with what you create. And people telling you it's great could be all awesome, but if you don't like it, then who cares, right? You got to love what you do. And that's the point. And so, yeah. So, you know, from now on, the Comic Binge is going to be talking about all kinds of comic books, but, you know, we're creating comic books. And if people want to know more about or have ideas for what we could do for an for an anthology comic book series, I'm all ears. I want to promote people's stuff. I do. I want to just get people out there I want people to create. And that's the reason why I'm kind of announcing this too, and showing people that, you know what, if I can do it, anyone can do it. You know, I mean, you just got to do it. And, but that's the hardest part, is doing it itself. So, you know,
and I'll let your stuff, just let you know.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, exactly.
Anybody else out there too?
No, and Dennis is great, man. And I gotta say, Dennis is great. And you look at his stuff, look at my stuff. If you know anything about comic books, you can tell the guy knows what he's doing. He's well read and knows how to make a comic book flow in words. And then, again, I don't say that to be like funny. I'm being serious. It's an art. That's why people are paid to do it for comic books, man. It's not easy. So anyway, one last thing, you can find the webtoon comic book. I'm gonna put it up here. I got it in the comments. Where are you, comments? It's in here. I'll put it in the description, but it's on Webtoons. If you just go to Webtoons, search Space Demons, you should be able to find it, but it's in here. I'll add it in the comment section. And again, we'll have hopefully part 2 done by the end of the year. That's my goal. And I think, Tony, you're getting faster at this, because Antonio's he's not used to drawing comic books, so he's getting more experience, so he's getting there. But yeah, I think he'll have it done here before the end of the year, hopefully by the end of December. But yes, you'll see what this little demon dragon thing is next issue, the next part. So very, very exciting. Anyway, where can people find you at, Dennis? Where can people follow your endeavors for comic books and other things?
So my main home online is October Comics on Twitter. Am I at the same thing at Instagram too?
I don't know.
I just got Instagram. I think it's the same thing. October Comics on Instagram. Twitter is where I usually, chat and just, hang out with folks. Instagram is where I post my art. So if you are interested, check them out.
Yeah, man. And his art's great. I love your Thanos and Batman thing, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
I love that thing. I'm being serious. I said it the other day. I was like, I told you that.
I have some cool toys to reference.
I love it, dude. Love it. Antonio, it's weird. I think I followed you on Twitter, and I realized you don't ever go on Twitter, so I unfollowed you. I'm like, you're not worth following on Twitter if you're not doing anything, man. Come on, get on Twitter more.
I know, I got to do something with that.
But you have an awesome Instagram with all your art's on, so pimp that out, man.
Heyantonio.com. I have links up there in the top.
Links up there in the top. You're so a man of many words, Antonio.
Instagram, and I used to do photography, so I have like a Japan.
Photographer. Yeah. Antonio's done everything, man. This guy he's ridiculous. You're ridiculous. I love it. People have no idea how ridiculous this guy is. Lives in Japan. This guy's insane. Anyway, you can find me on Twitter at Herman22, aka P-Thug. You can also find the Comic Binge on TikTok, Instagram. It's on Twitter. Search the Comic Binge. You'll see the logo, again, drawn and designed by the amazing Antonio Mendez here. Follow us on there. And obviously on Webtoon, Space Demons. I think the Comic Binge, it's through the Comic Binge as well. So if you search Comic Binge, you'll see Space Demons as well. But if you search Space Demons, you will see that as well. But yeah, please like that comic book, comment on it. I'm not sure if Webtoons has an algorithm or not. I have no idea. I'm sure it does. But I'm sure if you say all these nice things about it, more people will see it, and that'll be nice, and everything. So anyway, everyone, thank you so much for participating, and as far as like listening and being actually caring about what's going on. And yeah, so I really appreciate it. Everyone, thank you. And as not always, but as a newly thing to say, write more comic books. See you guys all later.
Yeah. Have a good night.
See you.